The best trophy in professional sports is on the line, and you're tapped into your daily source for NHL news. We're taking a look at the Edmonton Oilers and Florida Panthers series preview. Let's get this paper.
You're Locked On Fantasy Hockey, your daily podcast on fantasy hockey.
Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Before we return to the daily fantasy breakdowns of every squad in the NHL, it's the Stanley Cup, baby. Florida Panthers, Edmonton Oilers, the two best teams in hockey. It's time to get fired up on the Wednesday edition of the Locked On Fantasy Hockey podcast. Shout out to the everydayers holding us down, making us your first listen every single day. We're here, Steele. It's time. Previews, predictions, X factors, best bets. We do this for every round, and we have spoken about these two teams at length, but for good reason. So we're going to get to our bets, previews, predictions, everything. Over to you. Before we get to the NHL-wide breakdown the rest of the week, who's lifting this cup, baby? How you feeling?
I'm feeling great. And right off the top, I got to say, if you are from Canada, you live in Canada, and you cheer for any other Canadian team, you need to be cheering on and rooting for the Edmonton Oilers this Stanley Cup Finals. You got to back up our country. Get behind the Edmonton Oilers. That's what I'm feeling right now. So that's teasing towards my predictions at the later stages of this episode. But I'm so excited for this rematch. Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, our somewhat boy Stuart Skinner, who's been on the rocks over the last.
He's our boy now? Okay, I like this.
He's been somewhat our boy a little bit.
Hey, look, we're on the wrong side of the screen, and now things are just going absolutely haywire.
Look, dude, this is Stranger Things, man. This is Stranger Things.
Season
we're
5.
Upside down. Season 5's coming alive. We're here. We're ready for it. Let's get to the X factors for the Edmonton Oilers. And really, I have 3 or 4. It's so hard to choose one. But number 1 at the top of my head is Corey Perry. It has to be Corey Perry as an X factor in this match. He's on the same line, on the top line with Connor McDavid and Ryan Nugent-Hopkins right now. He's got 7 goals in the postseason as well, 10 points in 16 games, a +4. Crazy. He's a 33.3 shooting percentage, 27 hits, 1 block, 21 shots on net. He's getting a really good opportunity. And I saw this quote earlier today where he's not even thinking about retirement. He's coming back for another season and another season and another season. He could play for another 5 years if he really wanted to. Corey Perry is my number 1 X factor. And I think for me, disturbing the crease, disturbing the area of Sergei Bobrovsky is going to be huge for the Edmonton Oilers. And that's why I also want to go with guys like Evander Kane, Trent Frederick, who are going to be battling and digging for those loose pucks in the blue paint, making it diabolically hard for Sergei Bobrovsky to cover that puck, be comfortable in his blue paint in that area. So I really want to go with all 3 of those guys. It's a little bit of a cop-out, but I'm going with Corey Perry. The fact that he's playing on the top line with Connor McDavid, he's always solid in front of the net on the first power play unit. He's my number 1 guy to be an X factor in the Stanley Cup Finals.
I'm going to hold you to this. Not a little bit of a cop-out, huge cop-out. Mans are throwing out X factors left and right, but I'm here for it, especially because you picked one of the ones that I had to talk about. Evander Kane has 11 points in 15 games this postseason. This is a player that you and I know, especially in the formats of the leagues that we compete heavily in, banger leagues, categorical. You need at least 1 or 2 of the league leading power forwards. Tom Wilson, Brady Tkachuk, Evander Kane when he's on his game. Those are the players that in the leagues we like to battle in, take your team to the top. And when I see this guy, Steele, much maligned, we know injuries, off-ice issues. This guy is almost like a piece of dynamite dealing with in the fantasy realm. But when I see 5 goals, 6 assists, 12 penalty minutes in 15 games this postseason, I'm looking squarely at him, especially with that difference-making sandpaper edge that Hyman brought, and he is out. So I love you said Perry. I would have said him too. Evander Kane, what we've already got from him this postseason, I think he has an excellent chance to do some damage against a team in the Florida Panthers, Steele, that if you don't bring that physical edge, that might be the Edmonton Oilers' undoing in this series.
And that's the other thing as well. That's why I went with Corey Perry, and I love the fact that you bring up Evander Kane and went a little bit more in depth with him. But that's why I brought up Corey Perry, was because without Zach Hyman in this lineup, again, that's a huge blow to their offensive and power play abilities.
Mm-hmm.
What he's done with the physical aspect since the postseason started. He only had 59 hits in 82 games in the regular season. He had 111 in the postseason for the Edmonton Oilers. He was leading the entire playoffs with all teams combined. So that's why I go to those guys who bring that snarl, who bring that.
They're going to have to step up.
They're going to have to step up. Evander Kane, Trent Frederick, Corey Perry, all those guys that we just mentioned. I even want to throw in Darnell Nurse on the back end. We know that he can get into it, and especially when he's coming down the board, even with him and Matthias Ekholm, they're going to finish those checks. You got to be smart about it, though. They have to be smart. They cannot afford to go on the disadvantage, because I believe their penalty kill is rocking at a 68% this postseason. So the penalty kill is brutal for Edmonton. The power play has been great for Florida. That's another factor in this equation in the Stanley Cup Final rematch. So all those guys that we just mentioned, of course, Connor McDavid, of course, Leon Draisaitl are going to get their own. Of course. Kevin Bouchard, again, you hope he's going to bring his best on a nightly basis, but you never really know what he's going to be swinging out there on a nightly basis too. So those are the three guys really that I'm looking for. Darnell Nurse, Evander Kane, Corey Perry. They're going to be huge X factors in this rematch.
I think you're going to like what I have to say next, because we have spoken more about these two teams than any other team on this podcast over the last 3 seasons, for fantasy value and just for they have been the most successful. And honestly, Steele, I didn't want to fully put out the most obvious X factor, and I think you'll back me on this, in Stuart Skinner. Yeah. This guy has a good series. The Edmonton Oilers are good enough to win the Stanley Cup. He doesn't have a good series. This Florida Panthers team is far too good. And that might sound like the easiest, most, simplistic breakdown out there. But I think what I wanted to really throw out there, and you and I haven't spoken about this, and hit me with your take, please. Stuart Skinner plays well. I'm saying Oilers all day. And I'm not disrespecting the Florida Panthers at all, but this guy has a true opportunity here to silence the haters. He beats a good Florida team, top to bottom, Paul Maurice, all those angles. He comes up, and with a couple of good performances that lead to the cup going to Edmonton, I say hate is done. He has proven himself, and this is what it really comes down to for me. Is he going to be there in the big moments? Because Bob will be there. So for me, fully, the number one X factor, and we hadn't talked about it because I think it's obvious, is Stuart Skinner. We'll get to the rest of the X factors and bets, but that's just truly how I feel about this Edmonton team.
And you were saying I had the cop out with 3 players. You're throwing the goaltender. Well, you're throwing the goaltender.
Let's cop all the way out, baby. It's Gemini season.
I'm here for it. Gemini season all the way. Coming up after the break. X factors, best bets, predictions for the Florida Panthers Stanley Cup Finals. And we'll get you our big time bets for Game 1. Stanley Cup Finals, Edmonton, Florida. All next.
Giddy up. We also have the rest of our NHL-wide top 5 fantasy breakdown coming in hot the rest of the month. Today's episode is brought to you by our friends at Wonderful Pistachios. If you're looking for a snack that's both delicious and nutritious, crack into a good source of protein with Wonderful Pistachios. The highest protein nuts. Each 1 ounce serving hits you with 6 grams of protein, giving you over 10% of your daily value. Plus, they're packed with fiber, the better for you, unsaturated fats to help you feel full longer. Right now, I've been loving the grab-and-go, no-shell variety. Steele knows how I feel about at-the-desk snacking. This is the perfect way to get in and love cracking open those every shell variety as well. Take in wonderful pistachios right now. Get snacking and cracking with the snack that packs a protein punch. Visit wonderfulpistachios.com today to learn more.
And thank you so much for making the Locked On Fantasy Hockey Podcast your first listen every single day. Continue to smash that subscribe button, the follow button, leave a 5-star review for your boys here, Flip Livingstone and Steele Rodin. We appreciate you out there. We love you out there. Thank you so much for holding us down in the offseason, in the summer season for fantasy hockey. Flip.
Yep.
Florida Panthers.
Hit me.
3 consecutive years now.
Yeah.
They have been in the Stanley Cup Finals.
Pretty good.
Pretty good team.
Not bad.
Pretty good team. And Paul Maurice is one of, if not the best head coach in the National Hockey League right now.
He's the best.
Dropping fire quotes on a daily basis.
Yeah.
His mentality
He's the man.
is almost impeachable. It's almost unpredictable what's going
on,
but he's just so consistent. One of our favorite coaches anyway. But they have a chance to go back-to-back Stanley Cup champions, I believe, since, what was it? Tampa Bay Lightning, Pittsburgh Penguins?
Lightning. It would have been Lightning.
Yeah. So I guess in the first time in the last 5 years that a team can go back-to-back, they have the chance of doing so. It's been a while since the team has gone 3 years consecutive into the Stanley Cup Finals. But over to you, my friend. X Factor for the Florida Panthers. Who is it for you?
Well, let's continue on the cop-out train, but one of the things that's impressed me the most about this team, and yes, 2021, 2020, back-to-back Bolts, 2017, 2016, back-to-back Penguins, has been the ability of their blue line to really contribute offensively. And I think at the time of the addition of Seth Jones, everyone was kind of like, especially in the fantasy realm, Seth Jones has been one of those players that's probably taken you through the ringer in terms of you expect so much, then he gets hurt, then he doesn't perform. He's been a difference maker. He's allowed the other pieces on that blue line to really settle in. Even you got guys like Mikko Mikkola contributing offensively. To me, the X factor is, and I'd see a very hard time in the Oilers blue line responding to this, aside from Darnell Nurse, is their ability to step up and contribute offensively. So as much as, it's a bit of a general statement, if that blue line on Florida can activate and continue to contribute like they have, my prediction that I'm now understanding, you and I think are on the same page, might not look so good. So I guess all I want to say is, other than that, I'm looking squarely at Aleksander Barkov. This guy is so good when he wants to be offensively as well. And I think at times, because of how important he is at the defensive end, perhaps that kind of snuffs out or stifles his ability to be offensively creative. Let's continue with cop-outs. I'd throw Barkov out there at the top too. But I think it makes sense, doesn't it? Because somebody is going to have to shut down Leon Draisaitl and Connor McDavid.
Yeah, somebody's going to have to. And again, that's where that sort of nastiness of a Sam Bennett or a Matthew Tkachuk comes into play if they're not capable of shutting them down fairly and cleanly in the defensive zone. So we could see that come out as well.
Also a good angle, yes.
For me, the X factor is Brad Marchand.
Whoa!
He is the rat of this Florida Panthers team. Brad Marchand is the X factor. This guy is in the Stanley Cup. This guy's in the playoffs every single season. He goes deep pretty much every single season. You look at, I think there was a 3-year gap where he wasn't in the playoffs between 25 and 28, but other than that, he's in the playoffs every single year. 152 points in 174 games. He has 60 goals, 92 assists.
That's impressive.
It's very impressive.
Yep.
And
yes, it is.
The fact that he has 14 points in 17 games, playing 16 and a half minutes on the third line, which that third line...
Bill Zito, baby.
Hashtag Bill Zito, indeed. He's playing on that third line with Anton Lundell and Eetu Luostarinen, which has been very good, by the way.
Great point.
You look at the power play as well. Both units, the first and second, could be first units anywhere especially that second
You're
unit for
killing
Florida.
it.
Brad
Totally.
Marchand, Anton Lundell, Sam Bennett, Carter Verhaeghe, your boy, Seth Jones as well, activating the defenseman. That second unit could be a first unit. So all of those things into play fit into this equation of why I have Brad Marchand as an X factor. He's got the playmaking ability. He's got the goal scoring touch. He has that nastiness, that grittiness, that ability to really irritate the opposition, like a guy like Sam Bennett. So like a guy like Matthew Tkachuk. I'm looking at Brad Marchand. And again, I think I had that third line for Florida as my X factor in the series against Carolina, and they were very good. I'm going back to Brad Marchand. I'm going back to that third line again for the Stanley Cup Finals. I agree with you. If it's not Aleksander Barkov, you can look towards the defensemen and how great they've been activated and jumping up in those plays.
Exactly.
Yeah. Brad Marchand for me is the X factor. Best bet of this series for the Florida Panthers.
Okay. I thought you were going to tease it for after the break, but I like it. Go ahead.
I got best bets. I got big time bets for game one, but I'll let you. I got my best bet for this Florida Panthers team. I've got Matthew Tkachuk actually being the Florida Panthers point leader in this matchup. So I think Matthew Tkachuk is going to be all over it again, you could go X factor for pretty much everyone on this team, but Matthew Tkachuk, I think he's going to have more of the goal scoring touch that we've seen in the past from him.
Theme of today's episode, everyone's an X factor. However,
yes, they are.
Our NHL league-wide breakdown of every team's top 5 fantasy picks are still coming in hot the rest of the week. Steele, I've got a number of best bets, and I'm excited to get our predictions as well. And maybe this is a tease to what I think is going to go down. First and foremost, this is a treat. This has the potential to be a seriously good series with everything that we've seen from this club. Both of them on both sides of the ice.
Yeah.
Take this in right now, though. Leon Draisaitl at plus 280, the series leading goal scorer. I'm going to take that price all day long because what I've seen from this player, Steele, tells me a couple of things. He's a warrior. He's built for this time of year. He's played through serious injury. And if I'm going to buy into the narrative that I've already convinced myself of, which is, I'll get it out of the way now, the Oilers are taking this bad boy in 6 games. Not 7, 6. That's only because that's the only way I see them winning. The longer this series goes, advantage Florida. So that's why I'm just going to stick to it. It might be a bolder take, but hit me with Leon Draisaitl, series leading goal scorer. Hit me with the Oilers to lift the cup, and hit me with my favorite bet, because if those two happen, you better be jumping all over Leon Draisaitl, Conn Smythe at plus 850, Steele. That price right there, I'm telling you, is going to drop to half that if they win game 1 and he even has a point or two. Plus 850 for Leon Draisaitl to be the most valuable player in this series, to me, is a mistake. So I'm going to go with those 3. I'm excited to talk about your bets for game 1, but I think there's a ton of value here in Leon Draisaitl in this series, man. People are overlooking him for all the other narratives, and I think that is extremely bold.
I absolutely love that pick right there. But look, it's so hard to not go with Connor McDavid because he won the Conn Smythe last year when they lost. So
and that's why you're getting the value.
I love the Leon Draisaitl plus 850 Conn Smythe winner. Best bet. Absolutely there here for it. My prediction, I've got Oilers in 7. I don't see the Florida Panthers losing at home in game 6 if they are in that situation. I think the home crowd is going to be, again, a huge factor in the Stanley Cup Finals. So I've got the Oilers in 7 at home for this series. We'll get to big time bets after the break. I've got 3 picks, obviously same game parlay. I'm excited to hear what Flip has going on for game 1 of the Stanley Cup Finals. All of that and more coming up after the break. Once again, thank you so much for making the Locked On Fantasy Hockey Podcast your first listen every single day. Continue to smash that subscribe button, the follow button, leave a 5-star review. We appreciate you out there. We love you out there. Thank you so much. big time bets, game one. I still can't believe that this hasn't started earlier than Wednesday.
I know.
I feel like we haven't been able to watch hockey we really haven't been watching hockey for the last 5 days.
Yeah, that's not good for my mental health, Stu.
It really isn't. It's not good for either of us or all hockey fans out there. So we're happy that the Stanley Cup Finals are back. Game one, Wednesday night tonight. Over to you, my friend. What are your picks for game one?
First and foremost, I'm a little bit surprised to see this number in terms of the total at 6.5. That's not teased or anything. I would have actually expected it to be 5.5.
Yeah.
Because not only do we, and I know, I looked at the series last year. I think 4 or 5 of the games did end up going over the number, but those were at 5.5. So it's 6.5 Steele, and I really don't see this being a run and gun type series. They're too good now, both, especially with Ekholm back on the blue line for Edmonton. They're far too sound all around. Hit me with the under 6.5. If there had to be a lock tonight, I'd throw that one in there. I just don't feel comfortable throwing out locks in game ones of Stanley Cup Finals. I also love no goal first 5 minutes. I don't think you and I have spoken about that angle perhaps ever. This one to me is going to be a feeling out period of the first period of this series. There's a lot of hate between these two teams as well. So I think there's going to be a lot of chippy play. Hit me with the under. And the no goal first 5 minutes. Leon Draisaitl 3+ shots on net is going to round this one out for me, Steele.
Yes,
it's going to bring in me an odd right now at plus 320. So I'm getting 4+ times my money. I love a little 25 or a 50 piece on this, perhaps. I think, along with everything we just said about the big German, he is going to have to be shot out of a cannon in this one. So give me Leon Draisaitl 3+ shots on net, no goal first 5 minutes, and under 6.5. I think they all play together nicely.
I love two. Actually, I love all of those picks.
Giddy up.
I love all those picks because I have 2 of them as well, and I have 5 picks for a same game parlay. I love the under 6.5 in this matchup as well. I think it is going to be again the first 5 minutes no goals is great because I feel that as well. I don't have it, but I like it. Under 6.5 is my first pick at minus 134. Second pick, Connor McDavid, anytime goal scorer. Plus 150. I think he's going to be all over it. I could see maybe even 2 points from this kid, but I think he's going to be shooting the biscuit a lot. So plus 150, anytime goal scorer. Leon Draisaitl, 3+ shots. I'm also there with you. And then I have the Leon Draisaitl 1+ assist. So that's at minus 160. The Juicy. 3+ shots at minus 122. To round it out, I have the Oilers on the money line taking game one. That's 5 picks right there. You're going to get an odd of plus $1,700. $10 pays 170. Again, Oilers money line, under 6.5. McDavid anytime goal. Draisaitl 3+ shots. And Draisaitl 1+ assist. I'm loving those picks for game one of the Stanley Cup Finals.
I think what we're trying to get at is Leon Draisaitl has a good series. We're going to be riding that train, Steele. I think we basically said every single player on both teams are X factors, though, so that's super clear for y'all out there. But when we say we'll be back breaking down every single team in the NHL for your top 5 fantasy value, that we will stick to, and we'll be back all week with just that.
Yes, we will. Thank you so much for making the Locked On Fantasy Hockey Podcast your first listen every single day. Continue to smash that subscribe button, the follow button, leave a 5-star review for your boys here, Flip Livingstone and Steele Rodin. We appreciate you out there. Good luck with all your bets, your favorite 2 teams in the Stanley Cup Finals, and we shall see you back here again tomorrow.
Peace.